Hi, guys. Welcome back to the baseline. Thanks again for joining me today. Today, we're going to talk about the tariff trap and how you're getting taxed without knowing it and what actually comes next. So, there's something that they're not telling you here. And it's not about Joe Biden's age, it's not about Trump's Twitter account, and it's not even about the stock market's daily mood swings. This is about your wallet and your job, your savings, your future. So while the media spins around kind of like a circus act, the real decisions that are impacting your life, the ones that determine how much you pay for groceries and what you earn on your savings, and whether your business can survive, those headlines, those stories, those are the ones that are being buried. I think there are a lot of big miscomprehensions about the tariffs and who they end up impacting and who they end up punishing. And we're going to get into all that. But when it comes to tariffs and inflation and trade policy and debt, you've probably heard all those words thrown around quite a bit, right? But do we all actually know how they affect us, your neighbor, and the country as a whole? And if you don't, then it's possible that you might be one of the ones that end up getting hit the hardest later on. So it's important, right? This episode is meant to be kind of a truth bomb, a wake up call, if you would. And you need to hear every word of it. It's important. So what is the lie that we've been sold here? And I think it's important just to start with the basics, right? So the tariffs get talked about like they were kind of a big flex, right? Take that, China. We're going to level the playing field. But what they don't tell you is that the tariffs are just taxes in disguise. And that's it. They're just taxes. Taxes on imports, sure. But the burden, that's going to land on us. When you pay a US company, or when a US company has to pay, let's say 25% on goods coming from China, well, guess what they do? Because they sure the heck don't eat the costs. They end up raising their prices, which inadvertently ends up being a tax on us. Let's take a company like Apple, right? Do you think Apple, the one that makes your iPhones, are going to eat $1 billion loss just because of the tariffs? Mm-mm. They're just not. They bump the price on your next iPhone, and it's going to be a lot more than you're used to paying for. They punish people. They don't punish governments. And the people who feel it the most are the ones that are already hanging on by a thread. So let's say you're one of these rich people, the top 1, the top 10%. If you're one of those ultra rich people, a 10% increase in goods, it just ends up being kind of an inconvenience, right? It's not a make or break for you. But if you're the regular guy, it's the difference between getting what you need and then having to go without. And having to go without it, it can be hard, guys. So what is it that they're not saying? And I think what they're not saying is everything that we just mentioned. But they also did not mention the fallout that no one else really covered. So Trump came up with a pretty good message, right? And it really resonated. And part of it was, we're getting screwed. And he wasn't wrong. You know, the system was favoring big money, foreign powers, insiders, and the little guy was really taking a hit. So he went nuclear with these tariffs. And I get the instinct, right? You want to make things fair. You want to make everything right for everybody. That's a good thing. But the way that he did it, that's where the cracks, I think, are starting to show. So he hit China. And he hit Europe. He hit Canada, and then he hit Mexico. And then boom, 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 boom. It's like no plan that's in effect. I had one guy tell me, every offense needs a built-in defense, and every defense needs a built-in offense. In this particular scenario, it doesn't seem like there's any plan, no sequencing, no leverage strategy. It's just blunt force aggression in a sense. So what happens when you shock the system like that? Well, we saw the market tank. Confidence has definitely been dropping, and businesses have been panicking, right? But here's the thing: the impact didn't just stop there. Because while the media looked at Wall Street, they forgot about Main Street and everybody else that's in the United States, right? Uh, and it's ending up becoming pretty painful. I think we can all see it happening around us. And then the next real victims of all this is going to be small businesses. So, what happens when the costs rise on small businesses and uncertainty starts to reign? Well, big businesses, they get to stockpile, right? They hoard inventory before prices spike. They use lawyers and accountants to find the loopholes, and they have a roadmap for survival. But small businesses are a lot different. They don't have that luxury. They have to run much, much leaner than a big multi-billion dollar corporation would, right? So they got to run lean. They live invoice to invoice very much the way that many of us live paycheck to paycheck. And when their suppliers jack up these prices because of these tariffs, they either pass those costs on to you, or in order to compete with those bigger companies, they might have to eat it themselves. So, what does that mean? It means they're making less. It means they're cutting hours. It means that they're laying off people. And this is happening in real time right now. And it's happening all across the country. Restaurants, auto shops, hardware stores, print shops, family run mom and pop operations. Everybody's under a significant amount of pressure. So we're not just losing profits, we're losing these communities. And that is the ultimate price to be paid. It's the ultimate cost is our communities, and it's the cost of economic chaos. So what happens when it's like this, when it's the rich versus the regular guy? And I want to make this clear, right? It's not rich versus poor. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking just rich versus regular. And regular folks right now are losing. They're losing quite a bit because every time policy is made without forethought, without empathy, without understanding of how the economy actually works and how it works on the ground, the regular person is the one that's going to feel it. They're the ones that's going to get hit. So, what are all these different things that we've been being told recently, right? They've been saying, oh, inflation is down. But when you look around, you see that the rents are way up. And then on another side of the mouth, you hear a lot of people saying, oh, well, GDP is very, very solid. But then when you cash out your paycheck, it just feels that much smaller. And those items that you used to be able to buy, you weren't necessarily able to buy them anymore. So you're told unemployment is low, but your job is not covering the bills like it used to. And that's the game. The numbers are being spun, sometimes just straight out lied about, and reality is being ignored. And the media is focused on other stuff to keep us distracted, palace gossip, uh, and all kinds of nonsense to keep us fighting amongst ourselves, right? But that ends up being tough because regular people are fighting just to stay afloat right now. And here's the other disaster nobody's talking about, which is the debt disaster. So shifting gears again, guys, because tariffs were just an opening act. The real monster is hiding right under the bed, and that's debt. So we are now, this is a crazy number, guys, $37 trillion in the hole. $1 trillion a year just on interest alone. So let me say that again, just because it's so unbelievable, right? We spend $1 trillion just to keep the lights on in the United States. That's not building bridges. That's not funding schools. That's not investing in your future, your children's future. It's just debt service. And where's that money coming from, by the way? Well, more debt, more money printing, more inflation. And every dollar they print makes the one in your wallet, in your pocket, worth less. So every time they borrow more, your future ends up getting taxed, and taxed without a vote. So some would say that's tantamount to theft, right? It's slow, it's quiet, it's legal, evidently, but it's theft nonetheless. So what's the worst part? What's the worst part? And nobody's fixing it. They're too busy fighting each other than to fix the system. And they're also too busy pinning us on each other, fighting ourselves. We have to be aware of this stuff. So what can we actually do? What can you actually do? What can I actually do? And that ends up being the golden question. And I don't think there are any really easy answers to it all at all. But we're going to have to get smarter. We're going to have to start learning. The days of trusting headlines, they're totally over. We have to read, we have to ask, we have to research. AI is taking over so much. I think double, triple checking facts is becoming more important than ever. I think we have to diversify. Don't put all your money in the bank, to put all your eggs in one basket. Cash does lose value. Stocks can crash. Crypto, if you guys invest in that, it's a whole other level of volatility, right? So you need balance. Real assets, multiple streams of income, and easier said than done, emergency funds. So the third thing I think we can do is own our decisions. This is a brutal truth, as truth often is, but don't wait for someone to rescue you. Nobody's coming for us, guys. You're the solution. We're the solution. So start that side hustle, learn a new skill, build your value. And most of all, again, easier said than done, don't panic, prepare. Preparation, it can be said, is the antidote for panicking. So own your mind, own your future. This episode wasn't meant to be about fear. It was about a sense of freedom. That's freedom to know that, from understanding can come the freedom from what's really going on, right? It's the freedom that comes from understanding what's really going on. That's one freedom, right? The freedom that comes from preparing and not panicking. And it's a freedom that comes from owning your mind so nobody else can own it for you. We're not pawns in this whole thing. You're not a pawn in this thing. We're not going to be victims. You are, I am, we're all players in this game, and we have to act like it. We have to start that now. So it's your move, guys. We got to get going on it and really see what's happening around us. And all of this is notwithstanding all the geopolitical stuff that's happening in the world. It almost seems like we're on the brink of World War III every other day. So let me know what you guys think. What is your strategy? How are you guys protecting your money? Share in the comment section below. I think we can all learn a lot from each other. And I look forward to hearing from you. Well, thank you guys so much again for watching The Baseline. I really appreciate you guys. And we'll catch you again on the next round. All right. Cheers, everybody.